Om Amriteshwari Namaha. Good evening, everyone. So we'll be starting the session in a few minutes. So before we start, I would like to make a few announcements. So you all can type in your question during the session. You all can type in your question in the Q&A box provided, and we'll be addressing all the questions towards the end of the session. Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to the session. So let's start the session with prayer. So I invite Ms. Deepti Rajmohan for the prayer.
ध्यायामो धवलावगुण्डनवती तेजोमयीं नैष्ठकीं स्निग्धापाङ्गविलोकिनीं भगवतीं मन्दस्मितश्रीमुखी वात्सल्यामृतवर्षिणीं सुमधुरं सङ्कीर्तनालापिनीं श्यामाङ्गीं मधुसिक्तसूक्तिम् अमृतानन्दात्मिकाम् ईश्वरी
So I'm extending a warm welcome to all the participants for the webinar on recent trends in cloudification of enterprise applications. Let me introduce our speaker for the day, Ms. Urmila MS, who is currently working as a software engineer at Dell EMC Bangalore. She majorly works on the development of the IT risk management, and she also focuses on the cloudification of web application with AWS. And I feel so proud and privileged to let you know that Urmila is our alumnus from our center, Amrita Center for Wireless Networks and Applications. She did her master's from Amrita WNA, and she's an alumni of 2017-19 batch. So on behalf of Amrita WNA and on behalf of all the participants, I extend a warm welcome to Ms. Urmila. Thank you for agreeing for delivering the session, and I hand over the session to Ms. Urmila. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Pleasure is all mine. Can I request to turn on my video? I have no access rights to do that, if that's okay.
Yes, I hope you should be able to do that on your own.
I mean, obviously, when I clicked on the video, I'm not able to start it because the host has stopped it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay, all right, no problem. I'll start with the session then. Sure. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so first of all, good evening, everybody, and thank you, Rekha ma'am, for that warm welcome. It is always a pleasure to associate with Amrita, as always. And so I'll talk about my experiences in Amrita and how it was for me in the department and everything during the course of my presentation in between, so that it won't be like really dry for the audience. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so cloudification of enterprise applications itself seems kind of intimidating. So I really want to break things down and explain everything one by one so that it will be easier for all of us, to understand. And it's just a very basic, basic explanation of cloudification of enterprise application. I won't be deep diving into the technicalities of anything. So it will be a very simple session, and I am more than happy to answer your questions if I know them, and if I don't know, I would, appreciate you, appreciate you asking the question, and I would try to, get back to you whenever I get the answers. Right? All right. So. First of all, before even moving into the cloudification of enterprise applications, I just want to explain why we need cloudification of enterprise application. Because first of all, we have a company, for example, okay, and the company, it is delivering some kind of product. For example, it's a software product, right? An application or a mobile application or whatever it is. So the company would have a set of customers. They would have customer data. They would have the company data, company policy, their employee data, everything, right? So they need to store it somewhere. So obviously the company would require data storage. Secondly, the company would also require some kind of processing, data processing, right? For example, if there is a customer issue that comes up, there is a bug, they need to compute and understand like what is happening. So they need a computational setup where they can sit and work. So obviously we need data processing and computation. Previously, even before cloudification, how did the companies achieve all of this? They achieved it through server farms, or like a group of servers. Server farm is nothing but just like a couple of servers with which are connected, and then they have storage, they have computing capabilities, etc. And that like the server farm is basically usually maintained by the company itself, right? So, and the main point of server farm is that they would be on premise, or they would be associated with the company, or most of the companies would have a server room itself. For example, my company has a server room. One floor is completely full of servers, and then we can actually visit the data centers and see how things are working. Obviously, everybody doesn't have access to the server farm, so that was how it was. But this kind of setup have a few disadvantages, right? Why did all of these companies one fine day decided to move into cloud, right? So that's because of few disadvantages. Like, first of all, it requires a huge infrastructure capital investment, in the sense that obviously when we want to construct a server farm, or if we want to stand up a server farm, we need to invest some amount of money, and that money would definitely come from the company's end, right? And the second thing is, it is susceptible to data loss. For example, one fine day there is an earthquake and the data center comes down. What would happen? The entire data is lost. They are or the company would be answerable to the customers, the company would be answerable to their employees, right? So susceptibility to data loss during a DR event is one of the major factors why a lot of companies are moving towards cloud. Then less scalability and flexibility. For example, as companies started new, like as in they started on a small scale, and then they harvested profit, and then they become a very large Now they have a lot of customers. Initially, they had 10 customers. Now they have 100 customers. So they need to cater the needs of these 100 customers, right? So what they have to do is basically in order to do that, they would obviously require more computing capabilities and storage capabilities. So they need to add more servers or whatever computational or processing power to their already existing infrastructure. So in order to do that, again, there will be a lot of capital investment. There will be a lot of maintenance overhead over the already existing maintenance overhead. So, and also, therefore, this scalability and flexibility is kind of really not on the advantage of on-premise servers. Now we have to have a dedicated maintainer or infrastructure personnel. So what if some technical mishap happens, and then one fine day the server goes down? Somebody should be there like 24/7 looking after the servers, maintaining it. That means the company has a lot of cost and a lot of risk to incur when they are on an on-premise model, right? So I hope I'm just, please let me know if I need to slow down a bit or something, okay? Because you can actually let me know in the chat so that it's like easier for me to understand if you're getting what I'm saying, okay? I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. Okay, now what is cloud computing? Let's not get into a lot of complexities of it. But let's keep everything simple. So cloud computing is nothing but on-demand delivery of certain resources or certain services. What is on-demand? On-demand is something like if I want it, I can get it. That is simply put, that is on-demand, right? What is cloud computing then? Cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of computing power, database storage, applications, IT resources. So I am going to explain all of
hello,
this.
Urmila, sorry to
Yes,
interrupt. I think you can try enabling your video now. Maybe you should be able to do that.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt.
No problem, ma'am. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So I think you can see me fine. Yeah. So cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of, again, all of these list of things. I'm going to explain them one by one when we go through the demo. I don't so it will be more easier, and it will be very easy to understand if I can show it and then explain each of it. So for now, let's understand, okay, these are some of the services like computing power, database storage, applications, IT resources that we get when we go for cloudification. Now, what are the advantages of cloud model, right? First of all, everything is like opposite to the disadvantages of on-premise model. So requires no infrastructure, capital investment. It obviously during a DR in the sense disaster event, right? DR event, what would happen? I mean, what usually happens is these cloud providers, they would have different data centers, right? Different data centers in one region, and all of these data centers would actually have a replicated data model, okay, wherein they would keep the data. For example, I am one of the customers, and my data is sitting in one of the DR1, and sorry, not DR, one of the data centers, okay, DC1, and they would actually replicate the same data in another DC1 in another region as well. So if the DC1 is like something happens to DC1, that means something happens to data center 1, then still I'll be, as a customer, I won't even know something has happened, because I'll be able to access my data very easily through the next available data center. So that is something that they take care of, and that is one of the advantages, like one of the top advantages of having a cloud, having a cloud as your storage model, right? High scalability and flexibility. That's very important, because whenever I want something, I can just tell my cloud provider, hey, listen, I want an EC2, or I want a system where I need all of these things, or I want so much of storage requirement. Like I have so much of storage requirement. So can I get can I get that? And then it's very easy to get all of that. They can we just need to pay for it and then get the resources. That's how everything works. So that's why it's very highly scalable and flexible. And we as customers or company people, we don't have to maintain the infra or anything, because everything is done by the cloud provider. We don't have to take care. There is no headache of maintaining anything. Just like you can just be fine and then do your thing, do your stuff. So this is pay-as-you-go pricing, which is also one of the important features. That means whenever I need something, I just pay for it. I don't have to plan everything in advance and do the setup. And then sometimes even if I lose some customers, what I can do is I can just go and tell the service provider or the cloud service provider that, hey, I don't want so much of resources now because I don't have so much of requirement. So can I just cancel these many resources? And they can do that. But if you have a server already in already in your on-premise setup, then you will not throw it away, right? You just have to keep it, and the money that you have spent on it would be like kind of just like waste, right? Anyway, so there are three important cloud service models. First is software as a service. Next is platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. So all of these I would explain in the next slide. For now, software, as the name suggests, software as a service is nothing but, like, for example, the cloud providers are giving us the entire software, like, for example, Google Workspace, wherein we don't have to know anything. We are just getting the software, we're doing our thing, right? And platform as a service is when you already have an application or anything, but you just need a platform to work on, right? So then example, Windows Azure, Google App Engine. So these are some of the platform as a service cloud providers. Then we have infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service is something where you can actually leverage a lot of infrastructure, for example, storage or computing power, etc., from the cloud provider. One of the major example is Amazon Web Service, AWS. All right. So this is something. This is a very nice explanation of the three service models that I actually got from the internet. So here you can see, right, in a company or wherever in an IT setup, we would require networking, storage, we would have servers, virtualization, operating system, middleware, runtime, data, applications, right? So all of these things in an on-premise setup would be actually managed by the company itself. The entire management and the setting up of it, everything is managed by the company. So there is a lot of overhead, maintenance overhead, and setting up overhead on the company. But however, in the case of infrastructure as a service, what happens is these part, like networking, storage, server, and virtualization, is actually managed by the service provider. But yes, as a company, I need to obviously manage my application, my data, the runtime, middleware, and operating system. In the platform as a service, only application and data is required or will be managed by the company. However, all the other things in the stack would be managed by the service provider or the cloud service provider. And then we have SaaS. SaaS is the best of all, because SaaS would manage in the case of a SaaS cloud service provider, or if the company requires a SaaS model, then everything is managed by the service provider. Company doesn't have to. They can actually do they can manage the customers, etc. But everything else, in the sense that the resources, everything would be on the cloud, and they would be actually providing the resources and everything. We just need to leverage all of that, right? Now, okay, so I think I have already mentioned a few advantages of cloudification. I mean, cloud computing, but then what are the advantages of cloudification of enterprise application, right? Let's first of all, mobility. For example, if it's a cloud application, then the customer can access the resources or the data from anywhere, all right, at any time. And then, as already mentioned, scalability and elasticity. I'm not gonna explain again. Then the reliability and availability. I spoke about the disaster data centers, different data centers, replications, etc. So by which they can, maintain the reliability and availability. Then we have performance. Obviously, since everything is so reliable, everything is always available, performance would increase because they have dedicated networks, high performance networking, and everything. It's like they are completely dedicated in providing the cloud service. So they would have, best infrastructures to provide that. That's why the performance would also increase. And also the latency decreases because sometimes, for example, in the case of AWS, they have data centers all around the world. So if I'm sitting here in India, the AWS data center is in Mumbai region. And if I'm sitting in India, then obviously I would be using the data center, or I would be talking to, my system would be talking to data center that is in Mumbai. Or so that way the latency, which is like the, time to hit the server and then back, would be, reduced. For a person who is in US, they have data centers in different regions in US. They have 4 availability zones there. So yes, so that way the performance would be better. Security, yes, because since everything is in cloud, they have different, multiple levels of physical and logical access control to ensure that data access is only to the customers who have access to certain, applications. So I will explain all of this when I do the demo. That way it will be more easier to understand. Yes, I think I already spoke about the disaster recovery. Okay, so top cloud computing providers. First of all, first provider is AWS by Amazon. I mean, I have only listed down a few providers whom we are familiar with. Then we have Azure cloud provider is Microsoft. Then Google cloud provider, which is provided by Google. And then we have others also. But today specifically, I work on AWS. So I would only be focusing on AWS by Amazon. All right. So the agenda of the entire demo would be, setting up of the user roles and policies. I would just like jump into the AWS console and I'll show how things work there. And it won't be very complicated. It'll be really easy. Like it's very easy for anyone to start with. So they have made it that way. So I would just like explain a little bit about users, roles, policies, and then I would demo on EC2. EC2 is one of the services. It's one of the most popular resources that is being, so it is being given or being sold by AWS. So EC2 is nothing but Elastic Cloud Compute. We'll talk about it. Then S3 is nothing but simple storage service, which is also provided by AWS. So I'll show a little bit about all these two because they are more popular. And then I would also demo on cloudification of enterprise application, like how the cloud is being used, how the enterprise application is cloudified. Okay. Okay, now, so that was my PPT. So if anybody has any questions, we can, regarding the presentation so far, I can answer them. You can actually, put the questions on chat. I can maybe take a look at. Okay, so yes, I think people are getting acquainted with each other. All right, so yes, so before moving to the demo, right? I would just like want to share a little bit about my experience in Amrita and everything. So I joined, as Rekha ma'am already mentioned, I joined in the like with the batch of 2017, Amrita WNA, and then I passed out into 2019. My experience was really good. First and foremost, the syllabus is something that I really appreciate because they have updated syllabus every year. I think every thrice a year or something, there is a syllabus update, or whenever there is a new technology coming up, Amrita WNA always take care of updating the syllabus and keep everything relevant, which is something that I really liked. And and then my experience here, professors, I'm very happy and very honored to say that Rekha ma'am was I got an opportunity to be her student, and it was always nice to sit in her class, because all of the professors, not only ma'am, were really good. Okay, like in terms of handling technicalities and teaching and everything. It's always helpful if we go to them with any doubts. It's always nice. Okay, and okay, I think we have some questions. Okay, what is EC2? Yes, EC2 is, Samir, EC2 is Elastic Cloud Compute, which I would be explaining in the demo. So I have left it out, left out the explanation, a lot of explanation. It will feel dry if I, just explain it and don't show it, right? So I'll do it in the demo. Just some disadvantages. Okay. Disadvantages of cloudification. Let's see. Okay, so I would say one of the disadvantages of cloudification is that the data, everything is sitting in third-party servers, right? So, okay, we should be, obviously they are taking care of it. They have high security policies in place. But still, my customer data or my company data is sitting in a third-party server. Anyway, for example, even if it's Amazon or whatever it is, it's in a third-party server. So that is one of the disadvantages that I can, from the top of my mind, that I can remember. Yeah, I think, yes. So, all right. Now, my campus life, it was honestly, after the first year, I got my internship in Dell. So the campus life was good. I mean, we were like my friends and all, we used to go out, have food and all. So I was a day scholar. I was not a hostler. My house is quite near to the campus, so I didn't have to stay in hostel. So I cannot speak about the hostel part, but however, the okay. So however, the other, I see I have a lot of questions. So, but however, otherwise everything was really good and fun, I would say. And okay, something else. Is cloud computing a good career? Of course. So cloud computing would be a very broad umbrella, I would say. There are different classification within cloud computing. You can be a cloud practitioner. That means you can work on a technology stack and help a company to set up, or you can actually work in Amazon or Google or Microsoft as cloud experts. Okay, or you can work in other companies to help them set up their resources and everything on the cloud. So that is one thing. And you can be a developer, cloud developer. Okay, you can be a cloud architect. So there are different categories itself in the cloud computing, the career. So the protection of cloud data from hackers, right? So the data is itself sitting in the cloud. So the entire responsibility of protecting the data and everything is on the cloud service provider's head. So we don't basically have to think about it. But yes, if you are asking about the technology in which the cloud, the data on the cloud is protected, then we need to go through the policies, or not the policies, maybe the technology, which I'm not quite aware of. Sorry to say that. Yeah. So thank you for the questions though. Okay, so I think without further ado, I'll move on to the move on to the demo, right? Okay, so as I already mentioned, I work on AWS. Okay, so before just going to AWS, before explaining things, I just wanted to let's log out. I just wanted to show it from the start. So now so there are two types of users. Like whenever we start an account, right? Whenever there is an AWS, when you start an AWS account, what you can do is there are two categories of users. First is a root user, and then the other one is a IAM user. So root user is the primary user. For example, if I created the account, I'll be the root user. And inside root, when I log in, I can create a couple of other users, and those users would be called IAM users, right? I'll show all of that. So first of all, I'll log in as a root user now. Not very good with captchas. So AWS basically have very complicated captchas. Okay, I mean not that complicated, but then compared to other sites. Okay, so first of all, we'll go to users, roles, and services. All right. So this is basically identity and access management in AWS. This is an AWS console. Okay. So when I'm logged in, I have my account name. So this is my account ID. Yeah. So if I go down, okay. So these are, so as I already mentioned, we have a couple of availability zones, correct? So these are the availability zones that we have for AWS. So in India, we have Mumbai. Yes, we have one in Mumbai. So they are also planning to add more availability zones in India. And in US, they have 4. So yes, wherever you are, you can actually connect to that particular availability zone. All right. Next up. Okay. So let's create a user. So as I already mentioned, this is my root user account. I'm going to create a IAM user account, right? I'll create a user here, click on add user. It's very simple. Like to start with, it's very simple. It's not complicated. I'll create a username. Yes. All right. So there are 2 ways in which you can actually access AWS account. One is through programmatic access, which is like you have a CLI, okay, and then you have to download a plugin and AWS plugin, and then you will be able to access the CLI, okay, and from there you can enter you will be given an access ID and the secret access key, and you can actually enter all of the details and then log in. But I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to use my password, the good old authentication mechanism. I don't want to auto generate a password. What I'll do is I'll just customize the password. I don't want to log into that account and then reset my password immediately. So I'll uncheck this one, and then next permission. Okay, so every user in AWS would belong to a group. Okay, so if in a company, a couple of people are developers, then they would be belonging to one department, right? So that way it's very easier for people to assign roles to the group rather than to individual users. That is the reason why we have groups in AWS, all right? So I'm going to create a group here. Okay, so group name, I would choose department. So department, I'm going to give admin access to this particular user, all right? So these are all inbuilt groups that we have for AWS. Then next is tag. So tags are nothing but, just like search keywords. Okay, it's easier if you give a tag. Let's again, for example, department. I belong to software, right? Yeah, I think that's enough. So just review. Okay, everything is fine. Okay, cool. Let's create the user. All right. So if you have auto-generated the password, please download the CSV. So I, as an administrator, so this is one of the cloud carriers, as somebody has asked me. So you as an admin would create all of these things and then, provide it to your employees, like whoever is in the organization, because everybody would not have access to the root account. All right. So what you can do is you can create a user, and then this CSV file would have all the details regarding the credentials, like login name and the password, etc. And you can actually give it to them, or you can send an email to them. All right. So I'm not going to download it now because I know the password and everything. So I close it. And okay, let's see. Okay, so I have my user created here, very easy. It should belong to department and last activity never. This would show when I logged in and everything. So I didn't log in yet, right? And the password age is 1 minute ago, because I changed the password, or I created the password 1 minute back. Now, what I'll do is I'll go to the dashboard. So I have one user, one group, right? So here, this is my account ID. Okay, I have already given an alias for this particular account. So let's alias, in the sense, it's just a friendly name through which you can actually log into this user account. These, okay. Now, what I'll do is I'll log into this account that we created right now. In order to do that, what I can do is either I can copy this link that is already present here, or what I can do is I can, let's see, I think I need to go to another browser. Yes, you know why I got signed out? Because I'm using the same session here, right? So I as a root user tried to log in through the same session. So I got logged out from this session, and then I will be getting logged into the IAM user session. So basically, in actual practice, we don't do that, because root user would be one person and the other IAM users would be different people. So we don't usually do like it. Practically, this kind of scenarios would not happen, but then in order to avoid that, you can either open your new tab in an incognito window, or you can go to another browser, right? Yeah. So my username was Urmila, if you remember, and password. Let's see if I did. Yes, successful. Okay. So AWS, right, they would always try to revamp the UI. So the one that I showed in the root user account was an old UI, and this is a new UI, because they are trying to keep on changing. So that's something that they, not only AWS, all of the cloud providers make keep in mind, because they keep on adding more and more things, more and more resources, and more keep the UI relevant, right? So here you can see the user is IAM, right? It's not the root user. So it's always a best practice whenever you are doing, or whenever you're creating a resource in the AWS cloud. It's always best to use the IAM user rather than the root account, because root account is your primary account, right? So in the primary account, you don't want to mess up with the primary account. What if something happens, right? So it is always preferred to use an IAM user account rather than a primary account to navigate or do stuff. So yes, so what I'm going to do now here is, like, I'm going to go to so this is my IAM user account. I'll go to EC2. So somebody asked me what's EC2. EC2 is, okay, so yeah, before, so it's very easy. You'll get all the services here, okay? All the services. And on top of that, you can actually search whatever you want here. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an EC2. I'll explain what is an EC2 and how to create the EC2 and everything. So first of all, I don't have any instance here. EC2 is nothing but Elastic Cloud Compute. That's the full form. Okay. So for example, I want a laptop to work on, right? So my laptop is a Windows operating system laptop. And what if I want a Mac laptop? I can do one thing. I can, install a VM or, and on top of the VM is nothing but a virtual machine. On top of that, I can, install Mac OS and then, work. But that way, your system will become slower if you do that. That is one thing. And secondly, there will be compatibility issues. Sometimes you won't be able to, install everything, everything properly. And then it eats up a lot of space because you have the VM on the computer. Or you can do a dual boot, like dual boot of Linux and Windows or whatever. But instead, what if I tell you, you can get a full-fledged computer system without, yes, I think somebody raised a hand. Yeah, I think somebody has a question. What kind of data can be stored? Yes, so what kind of data can be stored where in EC2? If it's EC2, then EC2 is nothing but a computer. Okay, I'll show it to you. It's very easy in the sense that if you open your laptop, how you see it, that's what an EC2 is. You can configure an OS, any OS of your choice. It can be Linux, it can be Windows or anything. And you can download softwares in those EC2 machines. So in effect, EC2 is nothing but a virtual machine. All right. So what I'll do is I'll just create a EC2 here, EC2 instance, and then I will jump on to one of the EC2s that I have. Or maybe okay, let's see, launch an instance. So here, right, this is not my company account. This is my personal account. So few of them I am eligible as a free, like few of them are free for me. Otherwise I need to buy them. So since I already have my company account, I just don't, I just, signed in for the demo purpose. So therefore, only a few of them are free for me. But then if you want more, for example, if you want Mac OS, if you want different versions of Mac itself, see, you can see here, whatever Ubuntu, Microsoft Windows Server, anything, you can have a computer set up in what, 5 minutes. All right. So this is my Amazon Linux. Okay, I'm going to set up a Linux machine. So, okay, so these are nothing but my CPU. These are like system configuration, right? Any system that you would set up or, that you build would have CPU, would have RAM, ROM, hard disk, everything, right? So this is something, these are the different instances. So T1, T2, T3 are nothing but instance families. And these are the different categories in the instances. So T2 nano is the smallest, and then you have T2 micro. That means like the memory, it's like they have categorized it based on the memory and everything, right? Now the network performance, you will get all of the details here. I'm going to choose the T2 micro, which is the default, because that's the only thing I'm eligible of right now, because it's a free account. Okay, so next configuration. So I am going to create one instance. One instance is nothing but one machine, okay? You can think like that. And I'm going to keep all of this default, which is kind of out of scope for this webinar. So I'm going to keep, I'm not gonna create any subnet or anything like that. Okay, so what I'm interested here is I'm going to user data, right? So user data is nothing but something that would be executed when the instance is first launched. So I have written a few things. Okay. I have written this for our demo, and you just don't need to understand any of it actually right now, at least right now. Just understand, okay, I'm going to echo hello world, okay, all right, whenever this instance is created. I'm going to paste it here. Then storage, everything else I'm going to keep default, 8 GB. Okay, I'm going to add a tag so that will be easier for me to understand, right? Okay. Tag would be instance name. Right. All right. I'll instance name, department. Okay. Review and launch the instance. So before this, I need to add a security group. Okay, what is a security group? You don't want your instance to be accessible to hackers, right? As somebody asked me. So what you do, you need to protect it. You need to give different kinds of protocols like HTTPS, which is the secure HTTP protocol. And so right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be, and you can actually mention the source IP, everything here. Now I am going to instance details, MC SSH. All right. So these are the what you say. These are the informations that we would we have given tags, storage, everything. All right. So I'm going to configure a security group. I'm going to use HTTP now, which is definitely, please don't use it if you are doing it for your personal, like if there is some secure, you need to secure some data. I'm going to open it for the public, which is fine because this is just for the demo, right? Okay, I'm going to launch the instance, right? Yeah. So SSH key is nothing but, a secure key with the help of which I can access the instance. Right now, I'm going to use an SSH key named maybe EC2 key. Okay, I'm going to create it. One second. Oops. Okay, I think it's already created, right? So as you can see, I have my SSH key already configured. Let me launch this instance. Okay, let's choose an existing pair. It's fine. Let's create a key. Select RSA. Download the key pair. When you download the key pair, please don't lose it because this document would have your key to access. So now let us launch the instance. Okay, so instance is launching. It will take some time for the instance to launch, maybe 10 seconds or something. All right. So I think it's already launched. Let's go back and view the instance. So yes, I have my instance here. I have the instance ID. All right. I have the so you can actually name, you can give a name to this instance. So it is trying to start. Let it start. Let it run. Meanwhile, I can walk you through different details which we have already configured. So every instance would have a public IP and also a private IP. So public IP is nothing but something which you can use to access, or something like some external personal or external resource can access or hit your EC2 with the help of which they can do it. Okay, and the private IP is an internal to the system, which you should not, which you will not, like you won't be able to access this machine using the private IP, unless and until you are in a private network, right? Okay, so I think it's already running. This instance is running. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if it's working properly, right? So I'm going to copy this public IP and then I'm going to create a new tab and then paste it. Yes, you remember we were trying to echo a hello world whenever this instance is ran, right? So that's successful. Now, as a sysadmin, now I have this instance, I have everything. Today I don't want. So today I'm deciding that I don't want this instance. So what I'm going to do is I can simply stop this instance or terminate. So stopping is nothing but you are just like stopping this instance. You don't have to what you say right? If you are not using it, right, you just shut down your laptop, correct? So similarly, you can just stop this instance. Or what you can do is you can also terminate the instance. That means you will be deleting the instance. So that is all about instance. Now I can show you a real-time instance that I use in my company. So this is one of my systems, all right? So I have my Windows. This is just like a VM. I mean, obviously it's a VM. Just like a VM, I have Windows installed on it, and it just looks just like any laptop. So whenever I need, I have all my setup in this VM, and if I don't need it, I can delete it and create new instance. If this instance get corrupted because of some reason, if I feel that today this memory is not enough for the work that I'm doing, I can just like delete it and then create new instance. So it is that simple. Okay, so you can add more disks here. You can increase the processing power by choosing the instances that has more processing capabilities from the AWS. So all of these things you can do. All right. So this is something that I wanted to show. I wanted to show a few more things, but I think we are short of time, but I'll show S3 also. And then S3 is simple storage service. All right. Simple storage service is nothing but today if I want to store data, right? We have databases in the company, but what if I don't want to I don't want to store the data in the database? What if I want to store it somewhere else on the cloud? So for that, the cloud, especially AWS, provides us with a facility called simple storage service, which is the short form, which is like kind of abbreviated to S3, right? When you create a bucket in S3, bucket is nothing but a storage space, all right? So I'm going to create a bucket here. Formula, something new, right? Here you can choose the region to which your bucket should be mapped, because the reason why you can choose is like you have to choose is it will be faster when you do some upload or download actions. If you are nearer to the data centers, it will be easier, right? It will be faster for you. So I think I will be choosing Mumbai. And I will create the bucket. Okay. So I can also show an application of this very quickly, because I just wanted to show how it is being used, how these AWS resources are being used, right? So first thing is we use the AWS resources for setting up of our application. So I work for a GRC product called Archer, which maintains IT security. So I have an instance of Archer here. Instance of Archer is nothing but an application, all right? So you don't have to know anything about it. I just want to demonstrate how it works. Okay, so this is a documentation part. I want to add an application. Sorry, I want to add a document here, okay? So I'm just going to add a document, some document, let it be S screen. Okay. 1 second, I think I logged out. Yeah, so my session was logged out, so that's why I couldn't upload the document, but very quickly, I would, because I just wanted to show a full-fledged, application of how we are using it in any enterprise application. This is a very old application. This application itself is providing IT, risk, security, governance, etc., to customers since last 20 years. So it's a legacy application, from the very beginning of times. I think I would say they had it. So all of their data were on-premise servers. So recently we started moving to cloud since the last 2 years. And now if you are uploading, or if a customer is uploading anything, it would go and sit on the cloud S3 bucket. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate that. Okay, I hope this time it works. Yes, because it worked, right? SS1. Now I have a bucket. Okay, I have a bucket in my which I'm using for my instance, whatever the application that I have shown. So that the bucket name is Archer Lab Dev Predators, whatever, which you don't need to know. Again, like, you can obviously configure any bucket name, and inside the bucket I have a folder, and I have actually, we have developed code to link our application to the Amazon S3. So now if I refresh it, right, I should be able to. I should be able to see the file that I uploaded here. See, okay. So I uploaded Feb 26, 15, 35. Sorry, 26, this one, 17.4. So I uploaded 1 minute back, right? So I am able to see it. I can download it, and I can do anything with it. So basically, if I am uploading something, then if the customer needs to access, earlier they had to contact they have to use the on-premise, they have to hit the on-premise server and then get the data from there. But now it's very easier, they can get it from the S3 bucket itself. So this was one of the applications, and I had a few more things to cover, but I think we are short of time, so I'm going to close now, and I'm open for questions. Yes, Arun Karthik. Okay, all right. Let me stop my screen sharing. Who are the required? Okay, all right. Is this cloudification? So I'll answer one by one. Okay, lot of questions. How can we protect the? Okay, is this cloudification? Harish is asking, is this cloudification only for companies, or can we use it for personal data storage? Of course you can. Of course, why not? You can do that. Example, your Gmail, like everything is being stored in the Google Drive, right? Like whatever data. So obviously you can, but although after 15 GB of usage, you need to pay the cloud provider, especially Google. But for Amazon, yeah, so the account that I showed is, I have, logged in for, you have free access to that basic account for 1 year, after which you need to pay, right? The demo purpose. So, is this cloudification only for companies? Can we use it for personal data? Yeah, that I already answered. If you're not using instance, it will cost for other internal resource like database. If you are not using instance, you mean to say that if you are not going to use the instance that you have spun, then no. Whatever is inside the instance, if you're not using, you just have to stop it or terminate it. No, it will not cost. In fact, I would tell you, Amazon itself, AWS has a RDS, that is, RDS is nothing but a database that is inherently provided by the AWS itself. So instead of your SQL DB, traditional SQL DB, if you want an RDS DB, you can use their RDS DB. So AWS also have RDS DB. AWS also has mailing services, mailing servers, which you can make use of. Yeah. Please, sorry to interrupt. Is this clarification? Yeah, I'm so sorry, Harish. I saw the message now. So yeah, I hope I answered your question. Yes, Definitely after stopping and starting the instance, there will be the public IP would change. So every time you start and stop, the public IP would change. So in order to access the machine, you need to use the latest public IP. Who are the recruiters and what is the salary offered to a cloud computing engineer? Okay, so I was not a cloud computing engineer. I was an engineer from WNA, wireless networks and application engineer. But I got my internship in Dell, and after that I got converted after 1 year in Dell itself. But they were working on this application, this legacy application, as I already mentioned, and they had to move it to cloud because everybody was moving towards cloudification and SaaS and everything. So they had to stay relevant among the customers, right? So, and luckily I was put in a group, in a team where they were working on the cloudification. And that's how I, learned about cloud and everything. So that was one of the advantages, I would say. So I don't think I'm eligible to answer the salary question because obviously it is almost, market trend is almost similar. But however, recruiters, in terms of recruiters, AWS, Salesforce, IBM, Microsoft, Google, I mean, you name them, VirtuStream. There are many cloud providers in the market. You can, so all of them are potential cloud providers. Even startups, there are certain startups. I don't have the name on the top of my mind, but I read it somewhere regarding startup cloud computing. Like there are many, I'm sure. So yes. Okay. So I think that's all. What are the basic skill set cloud computing engineer require? Honestly, you just need to start in the sense that you don't have to see, I told you, cloud computing is an umbrella term, right? So, then you have different kinds of categories. For example, what I showed you, right? Spinning up of instance, then creating S3 bucket and all the other things. These can be done by somebody called a cloud practitioner. Okay, cloud practitioner. So that cloud practitioner would know everything regarding how everything works in the AWS. So usually they provide, companies like AWS and Microsoft provide certifications. What you can do is you can actually go online and then, there are many videos, YouTube videos, and also videos on learning platforms like Udemy, Pluralsight, etc., where they have certification courses. So one thing, if you want to get certified or something, what you need to keep in mind is always go for the certification provided by the company. That means write the exam that is offered by the company, rather than other small firms where they say they will give you AWS certification, but then at the end of the day, that, okay, after you give the exam, that this certification is not given by the original company, but by some company which is like providing the certification. So don't go for all that, just go for the original certification only. Might cost you some money, but then it's always good in the long run. So coming back to the career question, you can also become an architect, cloud architect, who is just like who decides what according to the customer needs, that person. For example, if you are an AWS architect, that person decides, okay, how to configure what, and how things should be provided, and etc. Then you can be a cloud software associate. So you can write different scripts. They are called cloud formation scripts, and then use them for to give it to customers to spin up new resources or whatever. So there are different categories. You can find it online. Yes. So I think those are all the questions.
Urmila, there is just one more question.
Okay.
What is the sole aim of cloud computing?
Cloud computing, sole aim of cloud computing is to move away from on-premise servers. That is the sole aim, honestly, to have faster data access, to have faster processing capabilities, to do things faster. That's it. I would say, I think that is what I understand from my limited knowledge, but maybe there are other, complex answers to all of it. But yes, yeah, that is something that, sure. Thank you. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tarun. Thank you, Atul. Please don't call me ma'am, okay? Please call me Urmila. I am just few years senior to you. You can call Rekha ma'am. Don't call me ma'am, please. Yes. Thank you, Harish. Thank you. Thank you, Bablu. Again, please don't call me ma'am. Okay. I hope you guys, if you have any questions, maybe what I can do is I can give my mail ID. You can email me. Yeah, I mean, I won't say I am pro, but if I know the answer, I will obviously give the I'll explain it. But if I don't know answer to a question, I would just get back to you after getting that answer, after understanding and learning and everything. So yes, yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I would like to thank everybody from Amrita WNA to for giving me this opportunity to speak to all of you. Definitely one of the best universities out there. And Amrita has very good placement. That is something that I always liked. And that was one of the reasons why I chose Amrita for my master's. And yeah, so that's quite evident, right? Like these big companies come here, and then I also got an opportunity from Amrita. So always grateful to and I'm always proud to be an Amritite. So yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everybody.
So Urmila, thanks a lot for taking
Thank
the time.
you, sir. Namaskar, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure is all
So
mine.
could you also briefly talk about the international opportunities that were presented to you, during your stay at Amrita?
Yes. So when after first year, I think Amrita also offers dual degree programs, right? So how that works is, I think there are different variations to it, but then the one that I got was 1 year we do the degree in Amrita, Kollam, or whichever campus of our choice, or wherever we enroll. And then the second year we would be doing it in a foreign university, which is and Amrita has collaboration with different universities. Okay, so I got an opportunity from Italy, L'Aquila, but that was the same time when I also got my internship in Dell. So I chose to go for the internship rather than for the dual degree. Yes. So I think there are different, I think if I'm not wrong, there are different variations of dual degree, right? Like both in association with Amrita itself, I think both years would be, the student would spend 6 months or 2 years in a foreign university, but still they would be a student of Amrita. And then obviously you'll get 2 degrees. That is one of the advantages of dual degree program. Okay, you'll get a degree from Amrita, and also you'll get a degree from that foreign university. And of course, you will get the experience of studying abroad, obviously, and networking with people there. Yes. Yeah. So yes, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. You have been a very proactive audience. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Urmila.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I already provided the mail ID. Somebody asked me. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Urmila. Thank you, all the participants. So I request all the participants to provide the feedback, and I have also posted a link for the Telegram group. So we'll be organizing such sessions again very frequently. So please feel free to join the Telegram group to get the information about the events. Thank you all. Thank you so much, Urmila, and thank you all the participants. Thank you all.
And we have one coming up shortly on blockchain and NFT. So you'll get to know more about the details. We'll post it in the Telegram group and other channels also.
And follow our social media pages also. Thank you all.
Right.